Good morning. It is Illegal Shift coming to you live from the One More and I'm Out of Here studios. This is the one and only sports show that is guaranteed not to talk down to you. Who are we? We could never do that, even if we wanted to and tried. I'm John. I'm like the announcer of the show, I guess. I'm not real sure what my role is, but I'm joined as always by Jason Kiefer. He's a fireman somewhere in the Buckeye State, somewhere down there, touching Kentucky. Not in a weird way. I don't know. Kiefer, how you doing, man?
Just close enough to be related, but we're not.
You're just kind of friends with Kentucky. That's all.
That's right.
How have you been this past week?
I'm doing well, buddy. Coming off a Kelly week, so go back to work tomorrow. So I had a nice chill week. Opening day yesterday for the Cincinnati Reds and multiple others was not the way we wanted to start opening day. Blew it in the top of the ninth by a pitcher that shouldn't even made the fucking team, but whatever. It's game 1 out of 162. So
yeah,
we will move on.
You know, I'm kind of in the mood for to watch a baseball game. Maybe I'll see if I can catch some this weekend. I'm excited. We've got USFL starting tonight. It's Roughnecks, Battlehawks. That's our respective teams, by the way.
Correct.
That'll be tonight at 8/7 Central on Fox. Check your local listings for that game. It's important to support the USFL. They're kind of talking about it possibly expanding next year, but obviously that's all contingent to support from people around. So, you know, if I can't make you get into football, that's fine, but you know, you should try to get into it. I think it's a fun thing, and they experiment with a lot of rules, and there's a lot of players in the league in the NFL that have come from the USFL that have been exciting to watch, like Cavante Turpin. He was the MVP a couple years ago in the USFL, and now he's the punt returner for the Dallas Cowboys. He's the fastest man in the NFL. He had a 99-yard touchdown last year.
I remember that, yeah.
Brandon Aubrey, our kicker, probably the only part of the team that works correctly, came from the Birmingham Stallions from the USFL. And then, of course, how can you forget Jake Bates, the kicker for the Lions, also came from the USFL. So there's exciting players who have come from the USFL in recent years, and you never know what they're going to turn up next. But the USFL is exciting because it offers an alternative for players who maybe don't necessarily fit the mold that scouts are looking for, players that are looking for a second chance or a new beginning. And USFL is a place to do that. And you can watch some spring football, and the games fall on some different days. And there's 40 games for you to watch this year. And maybe there's a team near you that you could cheer for. So I don't know. I just encourage you to get into it. I'm going to hopefully watch well, I'm not sure if I'll be free tonight. I'm going to try to watch tonight, maybe depending on when that is. I'll be able to catch some of it. But folks, the show is brought to you by GhostBed. Go to ghostbed.com, use the offer code Wolfpack, or go to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. You're going to find a whole bunch of cool things there, whether it's the cushiest mattress that could possibly be engineered by an American, or an adjustable frame to help you get just the perfect pitch as you sleep, or wonderful sheets, cooling technologies designed to help keep you comfortable all night long. Go there, find something. It's in your budget. Use that offer code so that they know that we sent you there, and we get a USAID-style kickback reward in the form of being employed to do this podcast. So we would appreciate it if we could divert away from unpaid work around here. So go over there, even if
yourself a favor and get the sheets, get the pillows.
Even if you're just getting the sheets and the pillows. I know that eggs are still coming down. You know, that might be in your budget. We would appreciate it because, as I said, it directly supports the show, and we just always appreciate your support. And GhostBed, we appreciate theirs. They've been helping the show go since long before I got here. They're a friend of first responders and veterans. They have a helpful staff that can help you resolve any issue. You can try it out for 101 nights, and if you don't like it, we'll figure it out. Show's also brought to you by Flintstones Vitamins. You remember Flintstones Vitamins? You remember the good old days when a chewable vitamin was the highlight of your morning? Flintstones Vitamins are still here, packed with the essential nutrients kids need to grow up strong. But hey, let's be real. If you're old enough to pair your dinner with a glass of wine, maybe it's time to graduate to an adult multivitamin, because while these tasty little dinos were great in childhood, mixing them with certain grown-up beverages might lead to some unexpected adventures.
Who doesn't love the slight hint of fruit and chalk?
Flintstones vitamins helping kids stay healthy since forever, not intended for use with last night's bad decisions. Take vitamins responsibly. Do not eat the whole jar and attempt to conquer the neighborhood like I did.
Oh,
Beat up all the
I bet
kids,
that's a
Steve.
fun story.
Tried to beat up all the other kids. I was 17.
What were the age ranges?
All of
5 to 7.
0 to 17. I was fighting all the other kids. That's what I said. I said I was fighting all the other kids.
Oh shit!
I was 10,000 strong.
My calcium levels have never been higher.
My calcium was so high, it was kind of toxic, a toxic level. Oh, it was so unfair.
I have with that is just amazing.
Yes, it was so unfair. You know what else is unfair?
What's unfair?
Stefon Diggs, like his career continuing to go on. How did we get to that point? Seems like the Patriots, really desperate to be relevant again, are making a big signing with Stefon Diggs. He's agreed to a 3-year, $69 million contract with the Patriots, with 26 of those millions guaranteed. This is from Yahoo Sports, the pinnacle of sports reporting. Now, correct me if I'm incorrect, which has never happened, but he's recovering from a torn ACL.
Yes.
So we're talking about a guy who's getting on in age, wasn't terribly productive with the Texans, had a beef with the Bills, and what other team did he play for?
The Texans.
Vikings.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said Texans.
And the Vikings as well. So he's on to his 4th team.
And he's got a blown wheel.
He's got a blown wheel, hasn't been terribly relevant, but they're going to pay him big time to come back to the AFC East and face off against the Bills twice a year. And what is very clearly his revenge arc. Last year, Stefon Diggs being traded to the Houston Texans was one of the bigger stories in the offseason. This year, he hit free agency, and it was quiet for a while. Diggs has finally found a team. He agreed to a 3-year deal with the New England Patriots that could be worth up to $69 million.
That's a lot.
You're supposed to say nice.
Nice.
With $26 million guaranteed, according to media reports. What's the matter? Are you not a juvenile person?
I'm still in shock. I mean,
you're so shocked. You've been shocked into maturity about the number 69. We have standards around here, sir.
I'll do better, I promise.
All right. The interest in Diggs was a lot.
I'll channel my inner Rob.
Yeah, he's out there somewhere. We should do a seance or something. Like, he's not dead. Well, whatever. What are we going to do? Call him on the phone? I don't know. The interest in Diggs was a lot cooler this offseason after he tore the ACL in his right knee in week 8 last season. That injury combined with Diggs' age, he'll be 32 in November, which is ancient receiver years. Mm-hmm. His declining production the last 2 seasons in Houston and Buffalo meant there would be more questions about him as he hit the open market. Last season, Diggs' time with the Bills ended when he was part of a surprising blockbuster trade. Diggs was traded with a 6th-round draft pick to the Texans for a 2nd and 5th round. Diggs had 496 yards and 3 touchdowns in his 8 games with the Texans before suffering a season-ending knee injury, which means that trade didn't work out very well for Houston because they didn't win the Super Bowl. As much as I would have liked to see that.
Well, I'm pretty sure we talked about it too when he went down in one of our episodes. It was like, is this it for him? Well, obviously not.
Well, we don't know. He may go out there and stink it up in preseason and not make the team. I mean, Isn't that always possible? Aren't deals like this always kind of contingent to making the team? Because he could fully like Jamarcus Russell this and get addicted to purple drink and not be watching tape. I mean, there's always some like clause, right? That if you just full on suck, like you're out of here. One reason the Bills traded Diggs is that he showed signs of decline 2 seasons ago. Diggs' yard per game has dropped. I could give you the stats, but his touchdowns went from 11 to 8 to 3 in that time frame. So it's like he was already falling off in Buffalo to where he was more of a liability than an asset, particularly with like some of his antics, some of his attitude stuff. He has like that typical wide receiver diva bullshit going on. Maybe not to the extent of Chad Ochocinco or Terrell Owens or some of these guys that are clearly problems. But
You shut your mouth when you're talking about Chad.
I know you love Chad, but like you can admit he had like some issues, right?
He totally did.
So I mean, he changed his name to 8-5. I mean, that's kind of a thing. He didn't even use the proper Espanol. So I'm not taking anything away from him as a player, but I mean, like, can you imagine a Chad Ochocinco that just went by Chad Johnson and was like really disciplined and tried hard and was focused on like just being an excellent player?
Where could it have gone?
Where could it have gone? The Bengals would have been they would have had a dynasty. If only he could get his poop in a group, Keith.
Poop in a group. I like it.
Even if Diggs was healthy, teams were going to have to account for the fact that he's entering his 11th season. The Texans made what seemed to be an odd decision after the trade for the Bills to restructure Diggs' contract to allow him to become a free agent after the 2024 season. That's not an odd decision when you realize, well, there's a reason the Bills were getting rid of him, and we want to do the same thing. It didn't turn out to be a boon for Diggs that it could have been that he stayed healthy and had a big season with the Texans. I think that was his redemption arc, was with the Texans, and it turned into nothing. So now he can only get revenge. Diggs, however, has a strong track record. He made 4 Pro Bowls in 4 seasons, which the Pro Bowl matters, since Drake May was in the Pro Bowl. Sorry, it just doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter anymore to mention Pro Bowls.
It does not.
Like if you're in the NFL, you're in the Pro Bowl. He might be an unquestioned number 1 receiver anymore. He might not be, but he can still help an offense, even if he just causes a distraction, even if he gets the corners and safeties to kind of be looking in the wrong direction at the right time. That could help. The market cooled on Diggs after the Texans season didn't go how anyone hoped, but his wait to sign is over. Would you have signed him? Would you be happy if he was going to the Bengals?
No.
Let's say he went on a very reasonable deal to the Bengals.
A reasonable deal, yes. I mean, I think he still has a little bit of gas in the tank, but I mean, not potentially $69 million worth.
Nice.
And if he, nice.
Do you see how I can do it?
You can. I told you I'll do better. God.
All right. Sorry.
But, and you bring up he could be a distraction, but again, $69 million distraction. You could get some other distractions out there.
Yeah.
Two, is he going to be a distraction in the locker room?
Yeah, it's a bit much to pay for just an on-field distraction. Someone. Plus, is he really though? I mean, we know that he's in his 11th year, that he's on his 4th team, that he had this ACL. He's going to go out there and run a couple of routes, and then I think we're going to be able to see right away whether or not he's
relevant.
Anyone who's going to play even every down, we'll see.
I mean, he was the shit in Minnesota. I mean, He was fantastic in his prime, but like you said, 11 seasons as a receiver. Man.
Yeah. Well, the Vikings don't even miss him. Obviously, him leaving paved the way for Justin Jefferson, and
right.
They're happy. They don't even remember Stefon Diggs. Case in point, I don't even remember him. Like, I remember when he went to the Bills. I remember that was kind of a whole thing, because he didn't want to be in Minnesota or whatever. And then I remember those couple of pictures when he was playing for the Bills and they lost to the Chiefs, and he was sad. And that the end credits theme from The Incredible Hulk played after the season was over. That's kind of a deep cut back. I don't know if anyone remembers that song, but and now it seems like he's mad at the Bills, and this is almost like a Brett Favre-ish, trying Aaron Rodgers, trying to get back at the team that got rid of him by going back to the same division to face off against him twice. So I guess it'll add an extra layer of drama, but we'll see how he is with his teammates and his former teammates before and after the game, and how well he gets along with people. Maybe, that is one thing about age, is when you slow down, sometimes you realize you're not the shit anymore. I mean, at age 32, I hope you realize that. And maybe he'll buckle down and really be good at running his routes, and, still one of the best athletes in the world. He's much better than, say, like, to be honest, I would be way more surprised if the Patriots had signed me.
I'd have lobbied for that deal.
I don't think that would be the sign of I don't think that would be a sign of desperation. I think that would be a case of like mistaken identity. Like, I don't know how else you would explain that.
Or an episode of Punk'd.
Yes, an episode of Punk'd. I'm sorry, but if the Patriots come to me with a contract, I'm going to sign, because it's like, even if I never like fly to Massachusetts, I could sue them for some kind of breach of contract, right? And then I'll settle for 5%. And then this will still work out for me. So absolutely, I'm ready.
How about you just give me $250,000?
Oh my, just pay for my plane ticket to go out there. That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
I'll come see the stadium. We'll call it good.
League minimum of 700,000.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's pretty much What a silly train of thought that was, but Aaron Rodgers is not going to Pittsburgh. Makes me wondering kind of what their plan is. They haven't seemed to have had a plan since Big Ben left. So I just know that Mike Tomlin's laying there in bed and he's looking at the pictures of him with Big Ben and he's doing the Wolverine touch where he's remembering I know he's texting me at 3 a.m. What you doing?
What you doing, boo?
And then he just deletes it and turns over and and a little tear in his eye because he doesn't have any idea who his quarterback will be. Which football team is that? Eric Tansey asks about my hat. You're from North Carolina and you don't have a red man hat? Boy, that's bizarre. I don't know how you could not have that. But, what are they going to do now that Aaron Rodgers has refused Pittsburgh, which I think that Aaron Rodgers is not really in a position to be refusing anybody.
Exactly.
This also from Yahoo Sports. If Aaron Rodgers says no to Pittsburgh, what will the Steelers' plan at quarterback look like? As always, it all comes back to Aaron Rodgers. For some reason, we have to talk about him every week. It's like we're contractually required. But whether he signs with someone or doesn't sign with someone, it's like we're constantly in this tension between the have and the have-not of Aaron Rodgers, at least for one more year. The New York Giants signed Russell Wilson on Tuesday, and that move itself isn't that interesting. No, it is not. Wilson, on the backside of his career, he's about 1 year deal for a bad team. I feel bad. I was thinking about this last night because I got a slide coming up that makes fun of Russell Wilson. And it's just like he's one of the finest athletes in the world. He's won the Super Bowl. A nice guy, a good guy, talented man, good quarterback, friendly, helpful. Why am I making fun of Russell Wilson? Why do we take these heroes, these guys? Okay, admittedly, he's one of the best guys 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Their only crime is they continue to play the sport that pays them millions and that they love because what are they going to do onto their 30s and 40s and 50s? Why not stay and play? But we make fun of them for sucking. Again, I am 40 and I cannot do anything. I'm not even going to play Frisbee for more than an hour because I'll be tuckered out. So why am I going to make fun of Russell Wilson? I don't.
Your Frisbee elbow flares up. And
I know. We make fun of these players for sucking, but it's like he'll probably go to the Hall of Fame. He's won a Super Bowl. He's got some impressive stats. I know that Seattle will get over their shit and they'll start loving him again at some point if they're smart at all. But why do we sit here and make fun of the greatest players to play the game because their greatest days are behind them? We're so quick to call Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and some of these guys washed. Is it literally because they don't know when to quit? Like a guy like Peyton Manning, he went to Denver. He's trying to come back from his neck injury. He wins the Super Bowl there, and then he immediately quits. It's like he knew exactly when to stop. He's like, I'm already here on borrowed time. I'm done.
Yeah, he won. He won the Super Bowl. He's like, I can't go any higher than this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and call it a day because I don't feel myself.
Yeah. The thing is that when you win that first Super Bowl and everything has just clicked, how are you supposed to feel like, well, I can't do this again after you just did it? You know what I mean?
Right before we went live, I got my TV on SportsCenter. I saw a clip of Russell Wilson sitting courtside. I don't know what basketball game it was. Signs a football, turns around, and he throws it up into the stands. Well, then there was a parody that came with it where he threw his shoulder out, and his career was done for just throwing a football up into the crowd. But they went into the clip of the Super Bowl where he got intercepted in the end zone and they ran it out and then fell to the ground and game was over. And it was like they were shitting on him as well, I didn't know you were going to bring that aspect of it up. So it was kind of funny.
I didn't know either.
The same thing.
The thing is that Russell Wilson was actually playing well last season, and then the last 5 games, the team blew apart. So we were at one point saying Russell Wilson was washed. What a joke! This is a mistake. And then he came out and proved everyone wrong. And then he proved everyone right. So I don't know. It's really hard. Anyway, so Russell Wilson, he's a 1-year deal for a bad team. A signing doesn't matter. All the questions about the Giants' NFL draft plans at quarterback, specifically Shedeur Sanders, which we'll talk about in a minute. It was just a move by the Giants to get to the safest veteran starter available as they're bridging to whatever comes next season in 2026. It was more interesting for what it means for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. As I said, this is no small piece of irony that the Steelers have been building a bridge between Big Ben and whatever comes next for many years. This is like a government contract where they never finish the interstate. The Steelers are never done building the bridge to the future. Because how long can you look up when Big Ben retired? Because it's been a bit. I'm going to say 6 to 7 years. Like we've been like a full quarterback's career since Big Ben's been gone.
2022.
Wow, I'm way off. Just 3 years. It has felt like forever, though.
It does seem like it's been that long.
Holy fuck. It's only been 3 years? Man, That shows you how little I pay attention to Pittsburgh. The question is what happens to both sides if that doesn't work out. Aaron Rodgers' options if he doesn't sign with the Steelers. It seems like it's not happening, by the way.
I know Cam Hayward went public and was like, if you don't want to come here, just say you don't want to come here.
Yeah, but then everyone else would be saying we don't want to go to Pittsburgh, and then you'd have like 53 guys who are like, yeah, none of us want to be here. Can't we all disperse and join the rest of the NFL? The most likely conclusion to Rodgers is to the Steelers. It's been since early in free agency. Rodgers wanted a good team to land with, and the Steelers were the only one with a playoff-level roster that was looking for a quarterback. Let me ask you this, Keith. Someone that watches the Steelers more closely than me, at least twice a year, do they have a playoff level roster? Because I feel like that's a boast.
At this point, no. I mean, they did for years, but I mean, at this point, I don't think they do.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them a playoff level. I mean,
they proved it. They proved it last year. I mean, they shit the bed at the end of the year, like you said. Wilson started struggling. Fields couldn't. He lost the starting spot, and then you've got T.J. Watt on the other side of the ball, and maybe one or two other guys. But yeah, I don't think they're ready yet.
Early last year, they looked pretty good, and I was confused. Why were the Steelers good? Like it flew in the face of all common sense of what little I knew about the Steelers. And then something happened to the Steelers that just clearly showed that they could not be a good team. Do you remember what that was?
Say again. I'm sorry. I was looking at another stat.
Do you remember what happened to the Steelers that showed they could not possibly be a good team? The Cowboys beat them.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's what it was.
I should have known.
If you lost to the Cowboys last year, you're not a good team. You should just be out of the playoffs last year if you lose to the Cowboys. Actually, that's what happened to the Bengals. They lost to the Cowboys, and then the NFL is just like, nah, you're not going to the playoffs. But it hasn't happened yet. When a signing looks obvious but doesn't happen for weeks, there are some holdups from one side or both. If the deal gets done, it's not perfect but reasonable from both sides. But while Rodgers does have other options, the Steelers might not. Rodgers could retire. He's going to be 42 in December and has accomplished everything in the NFL. I wouldn't say he's accomplished everything because he hasn't failed. He's failed to live up to the post-franchise of your identity rebuild. He didn't. Brady went to Tampa Bay and won the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers is barely managing to play. So, the 5-12 season with the Jets would not be his ideal ending. But very few players get the storybook send-off. He could retire now, start whenever post-game project ayahuasca he has in mind, and start the 5-year clock on the Pro Bowl Hall of Fame or the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's not the worst scenario for him. Rodgers could also keep on waiting. If he doesn't love the Steelers situation, he could gamble that at some point a contending team will lose its quarterback and pick up the phone. How many times have we seen a good team lose its quarterback in September or October and have no good option to replace him? Rodgers would be an enticing idea to pick up in a desperate situation.
It's going to end up being like Shane Falco and the replacements.
Yeah. Or like a Dallas Cowboy. Rodgers can't continue to wait it out or just walk away. The Steelers don't have that luxury. Who should start at quarterback for the Steelers? Someone who will line up as the Steelers starting quarterback in week 1 if it's not Rodgers. It's just hard to figure out who that might be. Mason Rudolph would be the default answer. And you have to love it when you're getting a job by default. A job that no one wants, a job that no one else can have. You're Mason Rudolph starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And you get a job by taking your helmet off and using it as a weapon in the end zone.
Boy. Well, Myles Garrett did the same thing.
I know.
That was the other opposite end of that. And now Myles Garrett is like, everyone forgave him for that, and he's beloved.
And now he's getting paid.
Yeah, everyone's just like, oh my gosh, we love Myles Garrett. We'll do anything to keep him here in Cleveland. I'm like, do you remember that incident where he like tried to brain a man with a helmet?
They second mortgaged the fucking stadium to keep Myles Garrett.
They did. And what's funny about that is that he came out on social media, and his agent is brilliant, by the way. Whoever Myles Garrett's agent is, sign with that guy, because he comes out and says, I don't believe that I can win in Cleveland, and I have all the evidence on my side. And he even said, I don't want to go from Cleveland to Canton, which is a huge dish. Like,
yeah,
I want to go farther than just the distance between here and there. I want to win the Super Bowl. And then the door closed to the office, and they slid across a piece of paper across the desk that had enough zeros on it that he's just like, I love me some Cleveland. This is all I ever wanted. You just deleted my Super Bowl dreams. The Steelers so good. That just literally goes to show you that Myles Garrett can be bought, because for him, he was trying to make the stand that it really is about the intangible of the game, the glory of the game, and it's about the money. And then they're like, we promised you a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Yeah, you're going to get Carson Wentz or something, because, he was a backup for the Chiefs or something. There's all kinds of quote unquote Super Bowl winning quarterbacks who are like, they only have the ring through a technicality, that Cleveland's going to end up with. So, which has yet to be announced. And he's been part of the hype videos for that, where they're like, I only said I would stay for a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and I have been promised, and that is what's happening. And again, we are literally going to get like the reincarnation of Nick Foles or something. It's not going to be something amazing. So I can't wait for like the hilarious news in Cleveland to drop. I'm only sad that Jameis Winston's moving on. He's moving on to New York, waiting for the prices to come down on those Jameis Winston Cleveland Browns jerseys, because I can't wait to buy one. So for some reason, they're still full price. I don't know if Cleveland's.
That's what I was looking up. No, they've got Kenny Pickett.
Oh,
they just got Kenny Pickett.
Is he the Super Bowl winning quarterback did he play for the Eagles? Is that what it was?
Yeah. He was the backup, but he's got a Super Bowl ring.
There you go. So
he's just going to show it to Myles Garrett every time he goes in the locker room.
So there you go. I completely called it. They said they would have a Super Bowl winning quarterback. It's Kenny Pickett, backup for the Philadelphia Eagles last year, who only saw play in the one game where they weren't even trying. So good job, Cleveland. You technically followed through on a promise. Can you believe that Myles Garrett said, I'll stay for this amount of money plus Kenny Pickett? I guess those Super Bowl dreams were just dreams. They were not real drive or ambition. Anyway, might be better than signing Joe Flacco. I don't know about that. I think Joe Flacco should play for every team in that division. Looked like he was at the end last season with the Colts. Carson Wentz wouldn't get anyone excited either, but he's another option. Maybe Pittsburgh is the team to call for Atlanta Falcons about Kirk Cousins. But at this point, the Falcons aren't giving away Cousins. Why would they? That's called sunk cost fallacy. We paid him so much for 8 games. Are you kidding me? At least tidy up the place, Kirk. Could you run a mop around as you're walking around the stadium? Would that be too much to ask?
Vacuums in the closet.
Please push a broom as you walk around. They've paid him $10 million bonus and could be a stable backup to unproven Michael Penix Jr. There could be plenty of questions about how much Cousins has left after he was benched last season. The draft is another opportunity. But there's not much excitement about the quarterback class this year. Even the top 2 prospects have been picked apart. So selecting the 3rd or 4th option would be on the board. With a 21st overall pick doesn't seem like a great solution for the Steelers. At best, someone like Jackson Dart, if Dart's even still available at 21, would be a player who would sit at least a year, not a plug-and-play starter for the team that made the playoffs last season. I bet you they were going after J.J. McCarthy from the Vikings, the Steelers were. I guarantee you.
Yeah, could be.
So that's what the Steelers would be deciding then, if not Rodgers. Rudolph is better suited as a backup. Flacco was benched quickly by the Colts last season, but don't forget he was brought back when the 26-year-old guy said he was tired.
That's right.
Multiple teams have moved on from Wentz. It seems like every team eventually will move on from Wentz. A rookie like Dart or Jalen Milroe seems very unlikely to keep the Steelers on pace with Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow in the challenging AFC North. That's why the Steelers wait. Some Steelers fans are excited about the possibility of signing Rodgers, but who brings a lot of baggage, including the terrible history of his 40-year-old quarterbacks in the NFL. But it's not like we have any other options that are better at this time. Again, I say make a business decision, and this is the inner Jerry Jones in me, and it's not a crazy idea. Bring back Big Ben. You could sell his jersey again. He'll be there. He can sign things.
Just
you may get to see him die on the field, cracked in half, and all the goo comes out in the middle. I don't know. I don't think it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Keith would love to get more revenge at Big Ben. So
yes.
Refs back in the area of being talked about, the public dialogue arena, meaning this show or whatever. Also from Yahoo Sports, we only go from Yahoo, and there's a reason for that. It's because we feel like we're a little bit better than Yahoo. Competition committee proposes expansion of replay assist for certain penalty calls. There was plenty to talk about expanding replay assist during the 2024 season, and the competition committee has now formally proposed a change to the system for the 2025 season. NFL referees will watch the game from home because the fans are better referees from them, and they'll take pro tips from other people watching the game.
It's actually not a bad idea.
That's not bad. In a proposal that the NFL teams can vote on during next week's league meetings, the committee has recommended expanding the system to allow for overturning certain penalties called on the field based on specific objective aspects of the play. Meaning, if you've done fucked it up, we're changing it. Again, years ago, they say the games are too long. The fans want a shorter game. We have ADHD. We cannot watch this entire game. We have to speed it up. We're making overtime just 10 minutes long. We're doing this. We're doing that. We implemented all these changes to make the game go faster. And it's a big bucket of suck, and we're rolling all of them back. And from nowhere, from no one's corner, is anyone saying, but the game will be too long, because that's what we were saying 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But now no one will say that. Plus, I don't know why anyone was complaining back then. Like, the thing is about football is that it's exciting, but it also has a certain dimension of golf. Like, there's a certain amount of time where it's kind of low energy, and it's that ebb and flow of excitement and energy that makes a football game something that you can sit there and watch with pulse pounding excitement, or you can fall asleep to. If you're like me and you're just watching two AFC teams play, it's delightful. You get lulled to sleep, consequence free, not important football. And you fall asleep at the end of the first, and you wake up at the beginning of the fourth, and you're right back in it, and it's exciting. So what does it matter if the game is 3 or 4 hours long? I've never understood that, but the TV broadcasters obviously don't want any interference to the schedule. They don't want overtime games on Sunday night, knocking the news back to the next day, which has happened.
Mm-hmm.
But now the refs are going to be talking about expanding the replay, and I think it's a good idea because we have to make these calls more fair. We have to stop fucking over the Bills, even though if you think about it, it's kind of funny. In the off season, it's funny. When it's happening live, it's not funny. But when we think about it, in March and April, it's hilarious. Penalties for hits on a defenseless player, grabbing the face mask, performing a horse collar tackle, tripping and running into the roughing the kicker would be overturned if the change is adopted. The expansion of replay assist would concern fouls that are called on the field, and it would not allow for penalties missed on the field. I agree to that. Even though Mahomes did get a face mask, he's already had plenty. The rule will take effect if 24 of 32 teams vote in favor of adopting it next week at the meetings. What do you think about that, Keith? Should we expand that?
I'm kind of on a fence. I mean, like, I agree with you, and that sentence, the expansion of the replay assist would only concern fouls that are called on the field. I agree with that because it is hard to go back but I cannot remember. We talked about, but I can't remember if they were implementing that officiating running in the background, if that was going into effect this season, because I know they tried it last season. I mean, I think obviously we've seen that, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, that the refs need help. I mean, they're not doing a good job. So if this is clarification for them and it helps clean some of it up, okay. But that's it's yet to be seen until next season. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, if they crack down a little bit more on the refs too, and what I've said for the last few months is start finding the fucking refs. I think you'd get a little bit more integrity.
I think the situation's so bad you can do anything. The TV's not turning on, jiggle the cord, hit it, whatever. You could do whatever you want to the situation. And I almost think that you should do it this way. We're just make an adjustment and see what teases out of it. What do you get after a season of statistics of, however many NFL games there are? Do they end up longer? Do you get better results? How do the broadcasters feel about it? But do something, because right now the fans decry the situation with the referees, and we want a league that is responsive to the obvious problems, and not just in a way in which is obviously like a cover-up campaign, like between the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship, the amount of scrambling and phony baloney statistics that were being disseminated through all of their partner broadcasters like CBS on Instagram and all this about how the Chiefs weren't really favored by penalties and all this, like this obvious like Manchurian candidate mindfuck campaign of bullshit. We don't want any of that, because we all could just do an acid test and we know what's true and not true. Mess with the refs, do anything.
Well, yeah,
give them some Flintstones vitamins. At this point, I don't care.
Well, yeah, you've lost the faith of the fan base. Yeah, the
gamblers.
Well, and the gamblers, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
those gamblers
I would like
happy.
to see the stat, and I'll see if I can find it. But I would love to see the stat of how much money went in opposite direction of what it was supposed to with certain calls that were bullshit.
You mean with them swinging the results of the outcome of the game, like for gambling? Well, yeah, possibly. It's always interesting every time to like see like when a team like just barely beats the spread or whatever, because you have to wonder like, what hand did the refs have in that? There was at least one team. I don't know if was it Texans Chiefs last year where they definitely had something like that. Maybe we should do a show.
I think it was Texans Chiefs because Joe Mixon got in trouble. He was going to get fined. Remember, because he made a comment in the locker room.
The Jacksonville 49, they show blitz, but they don't come. He's going to throw it down the middle of the field. It's a grab by Plexico at the 25-yard line.
He spiked the ball. He wasn't down. He wasn't down. Nobody touched him.
Yes,
what a
he was
touched.
No,
one touched him.
Here comes
what
Jacksonville.
A doofus move.
Danny Clark running up the sideline, and he's hit and down by Cordell Stewart at the 28-yard line.
I'm telling you, he was touched on there, Tunch.
Well, it wasn't whistled dead, and if it wasn't whistled dead, you don't spike the ball.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to play that right now.
For that.
But I didn't mean to play that right now. But I forgot that when you add an asset to the failure to stop StreamYard, that it just fucking plays it. Dad, like we have got to change that setting. But anyway, you were saying the Texans Chiefs.
Yeah, so Joe Mixon made a comment with the outcome of that game in the locker room, and he was getting ready to get fined. And then they realized, they went back and reviewed what he said and rescinded the fine. I mean, I think he was actually told that he was fine, going to be receiving a letter, but then they ended up rescinding it because he had him dead to rights. So,
is Eric trying to say that O'Donnell was the best quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
He's smoking crack.
Yeah, I don't even think his first name was Neil.
Yeah, it was Neil O'Donnell.
Was it really? Okay, so he wasn't he like the quarterback who lost the Steelers or the Super Bowl they played Super Bowl 30 against the Cowboys? On his last play of the game, they're down 10. He throws it down into the end zone, and it's picked off by the Dallas Cowboys in the end zone. I think I remember that.
Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, Larry Brown's 33-yard pick six.
Yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah. Well, Larry Brown, but it was Brock Marion who picked off the last play. I remember this because
I forgot that Eric's a Steelers fan.
Well, because he's the worst Steelers fan ever, but he's also a typical Steelers fan. He somehow manages to be the worst, but also just utterly typical. There's a picture of me out there wearing a Jerome Bettis jersey somewhere because I bet on Kurt Warner and the Cardinals to win that Super Bowl. God damn it. I'm so angry about that still. All right, so I didn't mean to play that. I wanted to remind everyone that Plaxico Burress is stupid. We talked about him selling his Super Bowl ring a couple weeks ago. Well, that was him spiking the ball before the game was whistled, or the play was whistled dead. So sorry about that. Jenny, we already talked about opening day. That was how the show began. It was a brief mention of the Cincinnati Reds maybe not having a great day.
I started crying for a second. You missed it.
Yeah. Yes. Let's go back to the NFC East, though. We touched on Russell Wilson. Obviously, the Giants are playing some 4D chess, trying to get Shedeur Sanders in there in 2026, or Archie Manning. I think that he'll be up that year. Giants signing Russell Wilson seems to answer one question about Shedeur Sanders while creating several others. By the way, I'm going to love facing off against the Giants against this year. They're the only reason I'm going to have to enjoy the season. They will probably play the Giants on or near my birthday. And so, like last year, it will be the only thing I have going for me. I'll be screaming, "How about them Cowboys and a Buffalo Wild Wings?" Well, a lady who is sucking in air through a cannula around her nose and sucking the chicken off of a bone and sure pro former porn star style and scowling at me. It will be a great birthday again, I'm sure. Less than an hour before the latest quarterback domino dropped, an NFC talent evaluator made their case. Jameis Winston is well suited to be a bridge quarterback. I love Jameis Winston because he's insane. But also he loves the Lord. So he's got both of those things going for him. And he's a quarterback. And he got LASIK. So the veteran whom the New York Giants signed Friday night has demonstrated the highs of quarterbacking, a 5,000-yard season, and the lows, a 30-interception season, a full showcase from which a rookie could learn. Winston's unique personality, the evaluator reasoned, would energize a team. Anything can energize the Giants at this point. I would prefer it be performance-enhancing drugs because then they would at least look like an NFL team. His high-octane potential could give the franchise early hope, but then for the Giants, any early hope is usually dashed by halftime in week one. By then, reality set in the form of weekly multi-interception games. The Giants would have a smooth path to saying bench the turnover-creating veteran and start the rookie. It is almost a setup, right? Like we're gonna sign you to take the fall. We're gonna sign you to make it seem like the reasonable thing to do, but give us an excuse to start the rookie earlier, saying we're playing to win this season. We're playing to win now. We believe our rookie can do it, and that way you kind of avoid the controversy of it because it's the only obvious decision. You create the emergency so you can solve the emergency. Like government. Sounds like a great idea. How can it possibly go bad? Suddenly, the formula that the New England Patriots traveled to make Drake May's Week 6 debut last season would repeat, but Winston taking much of the early spotlight and pressure off of the rookie. By sundown Tuesday, the recipe had changed. The Giants surprised many around the league as they signed 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback Russell Wilson, back when Pro Bowl still mattered, to a one-year deal up to $21 million with $10.5 million guaranteed, which means every time someone makes fun of Russell Wilson, I want to remind you, you are a chump. This man just made $10.5 million. It's more money than you'll make in your entire life, people making fun of him.
I am so utterly confused as to what the Giants are doing.
I don't know what they're doing at all.
Because now you've got three quarterbacks that.
Yeah, the other one's the Tommy DeVito guy.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito to a one-year deal. Jameis Winston, I just looked up because I couldn't remember. Jameis Winston to a 2-year, and then Russell to a 1. But you've got two veteran quarterbacks. I mean, Jameis Winston isn't the greatest. Russell Wilson isn't the greatest, but you have two veterans. I mean, normally you would have one veteran, a Tommy DeVito who is a 1-year veteran, and then you maybe draft one to try to keep that succession line going.
Why have both Winston and Wilson? It almost seems like that's what you're going to stand pat on when you make that decision.
Yeah,
because neither one of them has any. Neither one of them has any trap.
Jameis gets signed.
Neither one of them has any tradability. You know what I mean?
Right. So I have no idea what the Giants front office is doing. Kind of makes me feel better about my Bengals right now currently.
You know what else really doesn't make sense? These Jersey Mike's ads with Danny DeVito. Why aren't they putting Tommy DeVito in there? They should have both DeVitos. Because it's like the Giants play in New Jersey.
Are they related? Do you know?
Probably not, but I mean, like, Tommy DeVito had about, like, what was it, 10 full days of recognition? Like, he even met the Pope. Like, somehow in 10 days he went from nothing to meeting the Pope, which good for him, I guess. God,
Actually, his agent got more TV time than he did.
yeah, Tommy DeVito, his whole situation is almost as bizarre as Jameis Winston is for his own self, but
They're not. They're not related.
they're not related. But you should get them together in a jersey, Mike said.
I like it.
It just makes sense because both of those guys clearly embody New Jersey, and they're both named DeVito, and they're both bizarre. I don't know. Anyway, the Giants landed a safer and seemingly upgraded starter quarterback option at a reasonable price with Wilson. But in answering one question about their roster, they open a Pandora's box full of others. The highest intriguing question: what does the quarterback room already housing Wilson and Winston mean for the Giants' strategy? Well, that's what we talked about with them getting the 3rd overall NFL draft pick. Is it really, you know what I think it is? I think it's that they have so little confidence in their O-line that I think that both of these quarterbacks will go down. I'm sincere on that.
It's
Like,
actually not a bad.
They're like, we're going to have 5-6 quarterbacks on this roster by the time it's September. Like, you're going to see a lot of depth because we cannot sign anyone for the O-line. So our options are not really to sign any big players on O-line. We're going to sign enough quarterbacks that even after they get killed, we can still technically field a team. And with the emergency option, obviously now we can do that. Perhaps the Giants' pursuit of Aaron Rodgers reminded them that New York and the Pittsburgh Steelers find themselves pursuing the 41-year-old 4-time MVP because of prior reaches on his first-round quarterbacks. Avoiding a repeat of Daniel Jones and Kenny Pickett experiences, respectively, should be a goal for each. And after a weak draft class, the perils of overdrafting a quarterback become more challenging to avoid. I think that's what it is they're essentially pushing in their chips for this year. I hate to say it, but like they don't want to try to draft from this quarterback class. They don't want to make a splash by doing a blockbuster trade for someone that's going to get them. And it's like last week I said, when they were talking to Aaron Rodgers says, look, I can take the New York Giants from a 2-win year to a 5-win year. It's like, it wasn't going to turn into anything.
That for you.
Yeah, they had no prospects of doing anything, and I hate to say this for Giants fans, but I don't really because I hate the Giants. But it's like technically there's laws against tanking, and by signing both Winston and Wilson, this is you tanking for this year and clearly trying to position yourself very well to take advantage of next year's quarterback draft class.
Sports Center's talking about it right now. Should the Giants draft Shedeur Sanders with the 3rd pick?
I told you I knew what I was talking about. And it's not just me reading Yahoo Sports, which is clearly going to be talking about the same thing that ESPN is. I'm good.
It's just funny, the irony of timing.
Yes, the irony. Although they are on 24 hours a day, so, we're going to hit it sometimes.
That's right.
To the Giants, is Shedeur Sanders too coveted or not coveted enough? I think they want to be at the top. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that they want that option. Should we move to close out the show? I feel bad because last week we were stepping on failure stops launch, and I don't want to do that. And I have just one more thing to talk about.
Do it.
CeeDee Lamb's celebration has been banned. CeeDee Lamb's his nose wipe celebration is now illegal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this thing here. It's when he does this wiping his fake nose, I'm good at football move. And lots of players have this. Keith, you have any players who play for the Bengals that have kind of like a signature thing? If they make a play, get a first down, anything?
Oh, yeah. Fucking Jamar Chase does the gritty.
Do it right now so I can see it.
Oh, I don't know how to do it. I'm not coordinated enough. I can't.
Just make it up. Is it like Thriller or what is it?
It's some fucking dance he does through the end zone.
Oh,
I don't have rhythm whatsoever.
I liked seeing you do it though.
Yeah, it was.
I heard your back crack, by the way. I think I don't think you think your mic picked that up, but I heard it.
It was my ribs.
It was your ribs. But anyway, he's not allowed to do this anymore. And the NFL, the No Fun League, says this celebration has been banned. Why? Because finger guns and everything. It's too violent. This is also from Yahoo Sports. And lots of players have this. They cook up their own signature thing. That's their thing. Like Ezekiel, it used to have feed me the ball. He would get a first down. He would do this cereal eating gesture, and then he would do the first down thing with his hand. And it got me excited. And I don't get excited for anything anymore. And so CeeDee Lamb's got this thing, and Dez used to throw up the X or whatever, which I don't know what that meant. I thought that meant that he was someone in the X-Men or something. I didn't know what it meant. I never understood it, but it was fine. The league made a rule change this week directly targeting the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver in a signature nose wipe celebration, making the gesture will now result in a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty as a quote-unquote violent gesture. I'm wiping my nose right now with the NFL. Get rid of me. The exact wording is prohibited as laid out in Rule 12, Section 3, Article 1D. In the rules report sent to teams this week, any violent gesture shall include, but not be limited to, throat slash, simulating fire and brandishing a gun, or using the nose
fire.
I don't know, or simulating the nose wipe gesture. How is that violent, though? Or an act that is sexually suggestive or offensive. Now, are we going to deal with the fact that, the guy that played for the Saints last year, Carr, he grabbed his crotch at one point and did the Michael Jackson crotch grab.
All right.
Which kind of surprised me because
that's way more dangerous than this.
Well, but it's also just not really on brand for who I thought he was as a guy. I just didn't think he would do a move like that. I don't know. You know me, I'm very old fashioned. As Pro Football Talk notes, the nose wipe is a gang sign associated with the Bloods. Okay. I don't like it anymore. Used to indicate someone is untrustworthy. Lamb appears ready to adjust accordingly, as indicated on social media. I have lots of things I can do. I can do the hokey pokey. I can turn it all around. That's what it's all about, he says.
I do agree with Jill. I think he's simulating wiping coke off his nose.
Well, he's not. There's other Cowboys players that have had to simulate that. Lamb has been using the nose wipe since he was drafted in 2020 and has been since become the top wide receivers in the NFL. He's coming off a fourth straight Pro Bowl season, which again means nothing, in which he posted 101 receptions, 150 targets. It was a disappointing season overall for the Cowboys, who posted a 7-10 record and moved on from head coach Mike McCarthy, promoting offensive Brian Schottenheimer, blah, blah, blah. Cowboys, no hope for the future. Here's the thing that's ironic about it. Or I wonder if it's causation. Last night as I was sitting around seething about it, getting myself worked up, getting mad, just sitting there, stewing, I remember the Super Bowl when Serena Williams was crip walking.
Yep.
So we hired Serena Williams, maybe by way of a third party. I don't know if she was specifically hired. But this is from Time Magazine. I'll have them describe it. It was a brief but blockbuster cameo for less than 5 seconds in the closing moment of the halftime show. Headliner Kendrick Lamar performed Grammy Award-winning song Drake diss track, which I don't get. How you can win a Grammy if your whole song is about dissing another human being. I don't understand these beefs. Again, Bruce Hornsby, The Way It Is, that's a song that should win a Grammy. It should win a Grammy this year. We should bring it back. Not Like Us. The camera flipped to the corner of the stage to show 43-year-old tennis all-time great Serena Williams crip walking, which, she's 43. Williams' appearance was notable for several reasons. Like Lamar, she grew up in Compton, the California city known for the significance of the history of hip hop. Also, like Lamar, Williams is not the biggest fan of Drake, to put it mildly. The two are rumored to have dated years ago, Drake referencing Williams in the 2013 song Worst Behavior, and again in his 2022 song Middle of the Ocean, in which he derided her now husband Alex Ohanian as a groupie. Lamar even mentioned Williams in the lyrics of Not Like Us, seemingly telling Drake he better not speak on Serena. So she showed up, and then she does this crip walk thing. Here's why that makes me mad. Yetunde Hayawana Tara Price was killed in 2003. She was the oldest half-sister of and personal assistant to tennis players Venus and Serena Williams. She was killed in 2003. She was murdered in a drive-by shooting in Compton by Robert E. Maxfield. Serena Williams' own sister was killed by the Crips.
Right.
Someone explain gang culture to me, where you are going to get on the NFL halftime show, Crip walk, represent the Crips, extol the virtues of the Crips, whatever the fuck that is, when your personal assistant and sister was murdered by them. I get it that it was a friendly fire situation. She was sitting outside a trap house from her own gang, and they thought she was a cop, so they fucking shot her or something. I don't know. But you'd think your sister being wiped out by gang violence would finally fucking turn you away from the gangs, but no, she gets up there and crip walks. And I was initially angry when I heard like, oh, we can't have these little gestures in the NFL about winning, but we're going to allow crip walking. I guess, he's doing some kind of bloods gesture. I'm a white guy from like one of these smallest towns, one of the smallest states. I don't know any of these things. What the fuck is going on? Gangs are stupid. I've said it before that if you're joining a gang, you're an idiot. You're going to put, a tattoo on your body or let somebody know that you're part of a criminal organization. And I've gotten so far as to say this on Hard Time, my prison podcast, that if you join a gang and you get a tattoo and you're fully initiated, you're an outlaw. You shouldn't have a constitutional protection anymore. You're swearing allegiance to something other than the law of the land.
15-yard penalty, you just wiped your nose.
I know. I'm sorry, I have a cold.
I know my allergies are killing me.
Yes,
the only time I can crip walk is when I get out of bed to go to the bathroom. It's because my body's not working correctly. Oh, you just muted yourself.
I think we should be able to send these folks to El Salvador.
Yes.
Super jail and down in El Salvador. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the NFL. I don't know how you can virtue signal and say we're not going to allow you to do this bloods thing. But we had Serena Williams out there doing the crip walk thing. And don't say, well, we didn't know that was going to happen, like the wardrobe malfunction or whatever. You bring in a guy who's, probably has a discography which mentions how he's pro-Crips or whatever. Where's Bruce Hornsby? Can you Google that to see if he's still alive? I don't know. Maybe in the infamous words of Bruce Hornsby, it's just the way it is. Some things will never change. Do you remember that song?
Vaguely, I do.
When's the next episode of One More and I'm Out of Here? Later today.
Should say 70 years old.
He's alive, though.
Yeah. That's what it's showing.
When's the next episode? Tonight?
Today, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Today at 4 p.m. Eastern. Do you want to give us a heads up what the show's going to be about?
Well, we've got some politics, but I threw some other things in there. So the thumbnail that you masterfully made, somebody got an organ transplant from Michigan here in Ohio and ended up getting rabies from the organ that was transplanted into them.
That's a sad story. Rabies, as you know, is one of the very few lethal diseases.
I've gotten a couple other funny ones too, so tune in.
Okay, it's going to be fun. It's going to be right here, back on this channel at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Good old John will not be here. I'll be serving my suspension for having the audacity to have post-nasal drip. So thanks, everyone, for watching the show today. We appreciate you. I didn't even realize I was sick as I got up this morning. I just had a general shitty feeling, and now I realize right as the show goes on that I am fully sick.
You are sick.
Pray for me, I guess. All right, guys.
Tired.
I don't know. Thanks for watching the show, everyone. We'll catch you back here at 5 minus me, and we'll catch you back here. You'll catch me next week, as you always do. Flip over right now. Failure to stop. We'll see you back here next week. Bye, guys.